Good evening and welcome to Stetson Middle School. I am Mary Kay Pacella, the acting principal, or the person that's sending you the communication emails lately. We typically do not meet for an orientation with our 7th and 8th grade parents. However, this year is unique and we wanted to make sure that all of your questions and your concerns were addressed before our school year begins. We know the unknown makes all of us very uncomfortable, but we want to reassure you that we are all here to help you and your student be successful at Stetson. This evening, I have several speakers with me. I have my administrative team. Of course, I am Mrs. Pacella again. I have Mr. DeWitt. I have Mrs. Stephen. I also have our 7th grade counselor with us this evening, Mr. Speck. And I have 2 team leaders, Mrs. Holliday and Mrs. Braid, with us this evening. And one of our department chairs, Mrs. Fatello, and of course, our nurse, Mrs. Zerbeck. So without further ado, the first thing I'd like to talk about today is attendance. Students will be required to do much more than they did last spring. It's very important that we have a difference from last spring until now when we start for the new year in order to be successful. Students will be completing an attendance procedure for each class period of each day. Students are expected to be online during their class periods as defined by the remote learning bell schedule, which will include an assigned advisory period, which will be assigned to their homeroom teacher. More information to come in another slide. If a student is unable to log in for any reason for their class period, they are expected to communicate with their teacher in advance and make alternative arrangements. We expect the students to be engaged in classroom discussions, group projects, and complete all assigned work. We expect them to participate in their class and their school community as a responsible digital citizen. We also expect our students to adhere to all expectations set forth in the Westchester Area School District Code of Conduct and the Student Acceptable Use of Technology Policy. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Specht, who would like to talk to us about social and emotional support from the counseling department.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mr. Specht. Some tips and tricks we've learned along the way from last year and going into this year as we established Remote Learning 2.0. One thing that helps with organization at home is establishing a daily routine. So that's getting set up kind of every day, ready to go, having a workstation for the students so that they're organized and ready to start each of their class periods. Along with that workstation and that daily routine, giving a study area for the students to always work, but then also giving them an area to take a break as well too. Following the schedule is very helpful, which we will explain a little bit later in some slides. That helps them, keeps them on task and staying in the classes with the live Zoom instructions. Important is always for communication with the teachers and the parents, and make sure that it's through emails, through Schoology, through Zoom calls, or the Google Voice number if they're set up as well too. Students can always reach out during the live Zoom instructions or over the Schoology messages. Parents, please don't ever hesitate to contact the administrators, the counselors, or the teachers with any concerns or questions. And as always, counselors are always available to schedule for any kind of concerns or questions in regards to academic or personal issues.
Thank you, Mr. Speck. Could you also talk about a supply list from a remote setting, please, for our parents?
So this is just a general remote learning supply list. This is just for what we've seen, what is needed to kind of help with those organization aspects that we talked about in the previous slide. Again, some stuff will be maybe more specific once you get to meet the teachers and see whatever things are needed for a certain class. But in general, if you have some of these listed items, it'll be very beneficial for the students to stay organized and on top of their work as they progress through the remote learning curriculum.
Thank you. Mrs. Holliday, could you please talk about Schoology for our parents?
Certainly. By 8th grade, I am sure that you are extremely familiar with Schoology. It is essentially the Facebook for school. If you look at it, you can see that we are really trying to fine-tune the Schoology page so that it's uniform, so that all teachers are having a general setup to make it easier on your end. We had a little tweaking to do in the spring, but by now, coming into this school year, we think we have it set. It's broken down into 3 main portions. On the left, you will see there's course options, so you can have access to the textbook or different apps that the teachers have downloaded. And in the center, you will see that it is set up by week. So in this setup here, you can see that's broken down by week. So depending on the week that you're working in, you can just click on the folder, which I'll show you on the next slide, and you can see what is within there. On the right is the calendar. If you look on the calendar, we will put any type of activities, typically assessments will automatically go in there when we put them on the website so that you can see when you have a test and you can click on that so you are prepared for the deadline. If you look and you click on the middle screen, if you click on the date, you can then see the next slide, which will show you that it is broken down into the 2 days, because as you know, you come to our classes essentially every other day. If you then click on that day, you can look within that folder, and dependent on the teacher, they will have whatever it is that they need you to complete for that course selection. And also, if you can't attend that actual school session and you had set up with the teacher that you couldn't make it, you could just click on the pre-recorded Zoom session that was the class so that you can actually catch up and you won't fall behind on whatever the teacher taught for that class period. We also have the access codes for parents if you'd like to join our classes. A lot of parents do like to join in and see what's going on in the classes. So if you look down at the bottom, the access codes are there so that you too can be a member of the classroom just to kind of check on what it is that they are doing in the classroom. For Power School, teachers call it Power School, students call it Power School, parents call it Parent Portal. Be aware that they are basically synonymous. They all mean the same thing. Things you can find in Parent Portal are obviously the child's grades. You can make sure that you're clicking on it. You can even have an update where you can get weekly updates to find out how your student is doing in that particular class. And that could prompt you to reach out to that teacher or have your student reach out to that teacher and find out what it is they're missing, what deadlines that they need to reach. A lot of times if we put a test on Schoology, it's going to sync and show up in Power School. So sometimes assignments will show up in Power School and it may cause a little bit of confusion, but they're just coming in because the teacher put them in Schoology and it's just showing up that it's going to be a later assessment on there. If you're anything like me and you can't remember your password, you can just go to the password reset. Just go to the website and it'll help you reset your password by changing it to something that will be more familiar to you this year and help you access the students' grades. So everything on this website should be available for you. If you're a new teacher, a new parent for a new student, you can reach out to the office. They are very helpful in getting this information to you, as are the guidance counselors. And this is a pretty user-friendly screen.
Thank you, Mrs. Holliday. Mr. DeWitt would like to talk about communication.
Hello, parents. My name is Jim DeWitt. I will be the 6th grade administrator this year, but I also have responsibilities with scheduling. So in terms of communication, you can see from our graphic that it's a circle. We have the idea of communication as being a circle, that there's a continuous flow around that circle from student to teacher, teacher to counselor, counselor to parent, and then on to the grade level administrator. It's actually a multi-dimensional figure where we could have a grade level administrator reaching out to a teacher or a counselor reaching out to a student. The communication goes round and round. I want to make sure that you know that we do have team meetings where we're in communication with teachers, counselor, and then the administrator are there as well, where we're talking about students and student progress. So please know that if at any time you have a question about what's going on, your first point of contact that we're going to ask you to make is with the teacher. They're going to be able to answer questions specifically about what's going on within their classroom. If you have any social emotional concerns, we're going to ask that you reach out to the counselor. And if you have any difficulty in reaching anyone throughout the course of this, please feel free to reach out to your grade level administrator to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. I'm going to talk to you about the schedule. By now, you should have received an email from me sending you the schedule. Let me explain it in a little bit more detail. So our middle school rotates on a 6-day schedule. Some of our unified arts classes meets 2 times out of that 6-day schedule. Some are 4, and some meet every day. So what we've decided to do is to split our classes in an AM and a PM, because on a typical day, we normally have periods 1 through 8, okay? And now we're going almost like a time block, if you see over here. So every class is about 85 minutes long, okay? So on the first day of school, which would be August 31st, we would follow this schedule right here. The next day is our second day of school, which would be September 1st, September 3rd, and then we're off on the 4th, which is the Friday before Labor Day. We're also off on Labor Day, which is the 7th. So the next time we return on the 8th, and so on, and so on, and so on. Okay? So, as you can see up here in the very beginning of the day, it has professional block. That usually refers to our teachers meeting as groups to handle different activities and faculty meetings or groups that we may have that we meet in the morning. So the children are not responsible for that. Maybe later on in the year we'll meet as a special group, but as of right now, the children are required to report on at 8:45 for their period 1. So notice this is a 6th grade schedule sample I'm showing you. So 6th grade has Unified Arts in the morning. 7th grade has it periods 3 and 4, so it would be green down here. And 8th grade has it, it's periods 7 and 8, so it would be green down here. I'm just showing you one sample of our grades. This check-in period in the middle of the day, that's assigned, notice it's not that long. It is a time where a teacher will reach out to our students to get into a small group. And in that small group, we may have something such as reteaching a concept, a student needs an additional support in something, or maybe the student reached out to the teacher, I really didn't understand this math concept last night, can you help me out? Can you show me something? So that's where teachers will reach out to the students and set up a personal Zoom for small group interaction, okay? Also, every other day you'll see something in blue. And again, it will, in different grades, it will apply at different periods. So for my 7th grade, the blue will apply during period 6, and the blue will apply during period 8 for 8th grade. It's an advisory program. Let me tell you a little bit about our advisory program. Our advisory program is going to be something that we're going to be working on as a school to work on some executive functioning skills. What do I mean by that? How do our students organize, plan, or prepare for their day remotely, or even for the week remotely at home? How do we teach them how to focus to get started on a task, stay on task, and complete a task? We're also going to help our students during this advisory program to self-monitor their grades and make sure that they're aware of what appointments they need to attend, whether it be that small group or their Zoom sessions with their teachers each period. We're also going to help our students regulate their own emotions, because this is a tough time to figure out exactly what I need to do when I need help. So we're going to try and assist them in problem solving through this. All students will find out who their advisory teacher is before the start of the school year. We will communicate that to the students. We just wanted you to be aware of exactly what's happening. Okay? Mr. DeWitt, can you talk about our Unified Arts classes, please?
So our Unified Arts classes in 7th and 8th grade are going to continue along with similar classes that were in 6th grade. Everyone is going to have physical education. In 7th grade, everyone has a performing music class, whether that's band, chorus, or orchestra, or class for music. And everyone is going to also have health, and those will run for 2 days out of the cycle for a year. And then the other Unified Arts classes, FCS, technology, computer science, and art in 7th grade. And then in 8th grade, we have a whole host of elective options, some new courses that were available for students this year. And those were all selected back in the spring. So those courses will all run on a quarter.
Thanks, Mr. DeWitt. Mrs. Vitello, could you please talk to us about individualized education plans?
Welcome parents, my name is Diana Vitello and I'm the Special Education Department Chair, and I'm going to share some information about your child's IEP services. Related services and supports will continue during the remote learning. The direct instruction classes, such as study skills and strategies, will take place as scheduled in the 6-day cycle. Your child's IEP goals will be progress monitored and reported quarterly following report card grades. Some of the things case managers will be responsible for are checking your child's grades and reaching out if we notice some missing assignments, communicating with the team of teachers, Also communicating with related service providers, guidance counselors, and mental health specialists. All regular education teachers will receive a copy of your child's IEP prior to the first day of school, and case managers will be reaching out with a welcome letter. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Mrs. Vitello. Mrs. Bray, could you talk to us a little bit about the middle school level classes in math and English language arts, where things are actually more leveled?
Good evening. Susan Braid here, 7th grade mathematics, also a team leader. In 7th grade, there are a few options for you. There's a Math 7, which is an on-grade level course. We also have an honors level Mathematics 7, and both of those are a new program this year. We are instituting a Desmos program, which is much more inquiry based as opposed to rote learning. We're all excited about the implementation of that. 8th grade has already implemented it, so we're bringing it down ultimately throughout the middle school level. We have a pre-algebra course for 8th graders. We have an Algebra 1 for 7th grade or 8th grade students. Geometry is available for students who've successfully completed Algebra 1, and those students who have successfully completed geometry will be able to take Algebra 2 honors. The English and Language Arts program, we have on grade level, English 7 and Reading 7. The reading is an option for students who are not taking a foreign language in 7th grade. We also have the English and Reading 7th grade level 1 and the English Reading honors level and accelerated honors as well for those students. I don't know much about English language arts in 8th grade, but it would essentially be following the same sequence. There is reading through life for students who are not opting to take a foreign language in 8th grade.
Thank you, Mrs. Braid. We appreciate you covering that. And next is our nurse information, Mrs. Zerpak.
Hi, good evening, parents. I just wanted to touch base briefly about some of the things that are required in mainly 7th grade. By 8th grade, everything should have already been turned in. 7th graders do need a dental exam. We do have 60 days from the first day of school, so that deadline would be November 2nd. If your child's been to the dentist within the past year, July 1st, 2019 on, we can absolutely accept those forms as well. And when you get those forms, you can fax it to school. The dentist can fax it to school. You can email it to me and I'll print it off when I get back in the building. The other thing that we'd like you to do is go into Power School or Parent Portal, I suppose, and update their health information. So if anything's changed, even if nothing has changed, just go in, review, make sure there's nothing that needs to be updated. Update permission for medications. That would be helpful. Even though we're not starting off in the building this year, it's still helpful to have that updated information for me to review and be prepared for your child when we do return to the building. And one other mention is medication at school. We do give, you do give permission for the Tylenol, Advil, that sort of thing. But if your child requires anything else, EpiPen, inhaler, migraine medication, anything like that, we do require a note from the physician as well as signed permission from you, the parent. And the medication does need to be in its original container with the pharmacy label. So you are able to send that to school when we do return. If you want to touch base ahead of time, just let me know that you will be sending it. I can make a note of that. One last thing I wanted to mention for 7th graders also is a vaccine requirement. The Tdap and Menactra is due normally within the first 5 days of school, but under the circumstances, the state said we could extend that to 60 days as well. So for the dental and the vaccines, you will receive, or probably have already received, an email from me. I'm going to send out another email shortly. So if you don't hear from me, assume everything is in. If you want to reach out just to double check, that's perfectly fine. But you will hear from me in email in the next couple of days, just letting you know what is still owed to the health office. Any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I look forward to seeing everybody back in the building, hopefully sooner rather than later. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Zerpak. Next up is Mrs. Stephen.
Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. Stephen. I am the 8th grade administrator. I moved from 7th grade to 8th grade this year, so we will be staying with the same kids. I know many of you guys. I am going to talk to you a little bit tonight about childcare. Many parents are concerned about childcare, and Westchester Area School District is going to continue their partnership with A Child's Place. There are many options available to parents. The childcare option opens up at 7:30 and closes at 5:30, and it's for K through 7th grade. Parents have the choice of just putting the child in for the instructional day plus extended time. It can be full-time or part-time. During the instructional day, they will be keeping with the CDC and the Department of Health guidelines, and the A Child's Place staff will supervise, assist students with their remote learning. If you have any questions about this program or any interest in the program, you can visit the acpkids.com website, or you can reach out to Dr. Sarah Missett, Director of Elementary Education. Her email is listed below, as well as found on the district website. One of the highlights of many of our middle schoolers is our clubs and activities that we offer. We know that during a time where they're at home, they're even more important. So as a building and district, we have decided to run our clubs and activities virtually. More information about what time and when they will be running will come once school is open. Each of your students has access to their school class webpage that has been set up by their guidance counselor. We suggest that you treat this like a morning paper. Every day they get up, they log on, they go do attendance, they check their school page for any morning announcements. All club and activity information will come to your child that way. It will also be sent home to you, and communication will continue through email and eventually Falcon Flash with information about these activities. I would expect more information on this closer to mid-September after we return from Labor Day break, when we get the remote learning activities started.
There we go. Sorry about that, Mrs. Stephen. I was frozen.
No problem. In addition to the activities that will be virtual, we are looking to continue doing 7th and 8th grade PIAA team workouts. Over the summer, we were able to get a health and safety plan approved for the high school workouts. We are looking to extend that plan down to the middle school and continue some of these socially distanced safe workouts for our fall sports, including volleyball, soccer, football, cross country when able to. More information will be coming again after Labor Day. We're going to get our learning and academics started, and then more information about the sports and the activities will be coming to you soon. Last but not least, many of us are concerned about technology problems. They do happen. So one of the things that we want parents to realize is if you are having any technology problems at all, you can reach out to the Westchester Area School District Help Desk for help. It is open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. On the slide, you can see the email address and phone number. We do not house a technology department here at Stetson. While we can guide you in the right direction if you give us a call, all technology needs will have to go through the help desk. This will include lost passwords, microphones not working, laptop problems. You will put together a help ticket, and they will service this through our Spelman Education office. If you have any questions or concerns, you may give us a call here at the building, but we will most likely point you right in the direction of our technology help.
Thank you, Mrs. Stephen. Mr. DeWitt.
So as a parent, it's important for you to make sure you stay connected. Make sure you're looking for updates through Falcon Flash or any emails that may be coming either from Mrs. Pucella or the teachers. You want to make sure that your son or daughter verifies their attendance each day. Mrs. Pucella talked about that at the beginning. that there's going to be live sessions that are happening for your classes, and make sure that your child is checking in on Zoom and participating in those. You want to make sure you establish a quiet, comfortable location for learning, almost a classroom space within your home, and make sure that you establish and stick to a daily routine for each of your class subjects. Remember that we want to make sure we're maintaining, consistent communication back and forth. You're following up with your son or daughter to make sure that their assignments are being completed and that they turn them in a timely fashion. Make sure you're notifying your counselor or a teacher if you see that your child is struggling with any academic or social or emotional concerns. And as Mrs. Stevens said, if you need technical help, there's support available from the help desk, and that email is listed there. It's helpdesk@wcasd.net.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. Some of our 7th and 8th grade students are new, so here's a virtual tour of our school. So again, please feel free to contact any of us with any further questions you have in the future. Again, my name is Mary Capicella, and I am the head principal. I will also be the 7th grade administrator for this year. I thank you for attending this evening, our Zoom presentation, and we hope it was helpful for you. A reminder that our building is open during the remote learning if you need us for anything from 7:30 to 4 p.m. And I would like to stress that communication is the key and that we are a team in helping your child succeed. And there are the names on the list that you can help reach out at any time. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and we look forward to meeting your students virtually on the very first day of school, August 31st. Take care. Good night.